The terms influencer and creative have gained more traction over time and has become a source of income for many of the continent and global people at large, I guess. However, international transaction fees can be a challenge for creators. Pan-African Fintech group Yellow Card is of the view that digital assets like stablecoins could be the solution. Company SADC Regional Marketing Manager Mark Mbugua joins us with more detail. Mark, a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, Mark, let's get right into it here. When we think of the creative economy, it can feel like something that's it's bigger or smaller than we might think. People might not really have a clear picture of how big it is. How big are we speaking here, and also that economy that is enabled by social media?
It's a massive industry. Globally, we're talking about $250 billion. Unfortunately, the portion of that's coming to the continent is quite small, probably around less than 2% of that amount comes to Africa, but that's still somewhere around $3 billion, which is significant. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that said, of course, this means that normal people like you and me, possibly, could be doing business with big brands, global brands, cross-border, because it's all accessible to us now. But that also means that money needs to move across borders, across countries. Then that can, of course, create some sort of challenge.
I like to give the example of TikTok's biggest influencer, his Senegalese-born Kabi Lame. I don't know if you're familiar with the gentleman who goes like this. Okay,
yes. I don't know his name was Camila. Okay.
So he's Senegalese-born, but he's based in Italy. He's worth over $15 million, and one of his posts can be valued at, he gets paid like $700,000 for one of his brand-related posts. Now, you asked the question, if he had stayed in his native Senegal, would he be making this amount of money, right? The answer is no, of course. I think the challenge is probably twofold if you simplify it. I think there's a job to bring the world to Africa, and by that I mean enabling global companies to sell to African consumers. And then the second part of that is actually taking creators to the world. And I think that stablecoins and digital currencies can assist in solving both of these problems.
So I mean it can feel very intimidating to think of stable coins and digital currencies. So let's talk about them and how they would work, for specifically even content creators who could be watching and are keen to make use of it, because, of course, there's obviously lots of admin and cost to dealing with rands and dollars as we do.
Absolutely. So maybe just a little bit about Yellow Card. So we're the first licensed stablecoin exchange on the continent. We're also the largest in terms of local coverage. So we're in 20 African countries where we're facilitating local deposits and withdrawals for all our customers. Right. So as far as how it would work for content creators, say a creator in Senegal, South Africa, Kenya finds a brand that they want to work with, right? The process of making payments, especially if, say, they're not banked, and the fees and the costs related to moving money can be quite prohibitive and exhaustive. With stablecoins, which are essentially just digital assets, and particularly stablecoins are pegged to currencies like the dollar, which are much more stable. This allows the transfer of funds or value across borders at a fraction of the cost, right? So it makes it easier for these creators to receive payments with confidence. But then the other side of that is with Yellow Card's B2B services, we allow global companies, American companies, European companies, to serve African audiences, right? They just integrate with our services, and they can sell their products and services directly to customers in local currency. So we're really trying to join the two, right? To open up Africa and its consumers to international companies that may feel a little bit unsure of how to enter the continent, but at the same time, when it comes to them selling their products, they can use African influencers and have easy ways to pay them.
Very, very interesting indeed. I want to speak about when we think of stablecoin, also security, regulation, the stuff that, people worry about in the day-to-day.
Yeah, well, so with stablecoins, like everything new, I think there can be some jitters around how it works. But companies like Yellow Card make it incredibly simple, right? It's as simple as downloading an app. It's an incredibly easy interface that is protected with two-factor authentication, secure passwords, etc. That really can empower individuals to move money very, very simply. It's also much easier to set up and navigate than your traditional finance through banks and other remittance companies. So we're finding, particularly in the younger demographics, right? We're talking about populations of people who are already really comfortable with technology, with apps. We're finding them really taking to it very, very easily and finding a lot of value.
And revenue authorities, are they able to, of course, track flows on that level? Because, of course, that becomes an important one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think every market or every country is at a different phase in terms of its relationship with these assets. What we're doing, though, as Yellow Card is we're working closely with regulators across many markets. We're licensed in Botswana. We're in a sandbox with the Bank of Zambia as well, to help them create sort of the infrastructure and the regulation around how to handle this. And yes, part of that will be, how do you pay taxes on these assets? And I think as the industries grow, as stablecoins and decentralized finance become more and more prevalent, in conjunction with the tax authorities, this information will be passed to the population, and it will just be another thing that you would submit when you're doing your tax returns. But we're getting there.
Interesting times indeed. Mark, thank you for being here with us and taking us through this very interesting one. That was Yellow Card SADC Regional Marketing Manager, Mark Mbugua.